Hey everyone, Consecutive here, and welcome to the LFR episode. First things first, sorry about the scuffed video audio, I'm sure you'll notice, but I hope this sort of proves my point that I'm just a normal guy going into this trying to make it work. I did toy with the idea of going back and re-clearing all the LFR bosses and pretending it was my first time through, but that just sort of seemed fake and it didn't sit right with me, so I figured I'd keep the video and just do a voiceover. I did figure out what I did wrong and I'll have it fixed for the next video. In regards to format, I'll be going over each boss briefly with my initial thoughts on the fight and how I approached them. The bosses won't be in any particular order since I did queue all the LFR wings at once, so they popped in random orders. So since this is a voiceover, it won't be a true reaction so much as a post-run reaction with which hopefully results in my thoughts being more clear and concise. I think I'll experiment when I do go into normals and just have my recorded voice while doing the fights with a voiceover in the pre and post raid sections to sort of give a summary. I am trying to keep these videos within 10 to 15 minutes, so I may break up my normal run into just 2 to 3 bosses at a time, depending on how long I ramble, of course. With that being said, let's hop right into it. Alrighty, so getting right into it with Huntsman Altimor. You saw me briefly have my adventure guide open there to try and read what the mechanics were, if there's anything important, and I want you to take note right there. The first thing I did was I tried to pull Margor away from the boss when I taunted him off. I wasn't too sure if there was a mechanic there where if they were too close to each other, one would buff the other, and so I just kind of wanted to keep them a little bit separate and then let the other tank use body language to tell me what he wanted. The other tank immediately either taunted him off or just hit big burst Kyrian damage there and yanked the aggro off me. So once I saw that Margor had gone onto the other tank, I let him go over there and then just re-taunted off and kept him near Altimor. So I was just trying to read my co-tank's body language in that sense to figure out what I needed to do. And so I just kind of kept tanking Margor there next to Altimor. And I do know Jagged Claws is something we want to try and manage and taunt off of each other, but it looked like Margor was kind of going down fairly quickly. So I wasn't too worried about it, and unless he taunts Margor off me again, at that point I would taunt Altimor just so he wouldn't be tanking both, and just trying to use common sense and let my other tank tell me what he wants me to do via body language and taunts. So there is one stack of Jagged Claws on me, which I'm aware of, trying to manage my soul barrier to help alleviate some of the pressure on the healers for my health pool. Looks like I noticed he was drawing Altimor away from me. Not 100% sure why that was the case, but I figured I'd stay where I was at until, he decided to bring him back. And right there, I had 2 stacks just go on me, so it looked like he came over to taunt him off. But with Margor almost dead, I wasn't too worried about taunting Altimor off of him. I do believe another ad comes in here, 2 more ads eventually. In in retrospect, I know this. In the moment, I wasn't sure if there was another ad that was going to come, and it looked like there was. So I just taunt him to help establish aggro there and kind of keep him in the same spot. Barghast, the Rip Soul, I did do some post-raid reading, so I know what that does now. I had no idea what it was at the moment, but I can see my shade there on the left walking towards Altimor, and that's just something that the other tank has to, I think, kite out while the healers try and heal it before it reaches Altimor and gives him some type of buff. Doesn't it looks like it does reach him. I'm not quite sure what happened there. But yeah, I'm just tanking Barghast on the side and trying to not die. These arrows coming out in the moment, I wasn't too sure if I should be trying to step in the way and absorb them, or if I should be leading, Barghast into the way. So I didn't want to do anything too stupid, so I just kind of let the DPS that were trying to use those arrows line them up wherever they wanted, and I just wasn't going to move. I think in retrospect, I did some reading on it again, and it just hits everybody in a line. It can't be absorbed, so the DPS want to try and not hit anybody with it. So in the future, I'll try and pull, that myself out of line of that. Do have a few people go down here. The Rip Soul, again, I didn't know what this was at the time, but DBM said use a defensive, so I was popping defensives on cooldown, and I think this guy goes down pretty quick here. The Deathly Roar Shade comes out there on the side, which Does he see? I'm not 100% sure how that mechanic works. I'll have to do some more reading on it. And then we get one more ad here, if I'm not mistaken. And I just go over there and pick him up. And I just keep him in the same spot, I think, here. Again, letting the other tank kind of tell me what he wants by using his own positioning. Looks like he brings him over. Almost die here. Do I pop meta? I may have. Yeah, I did pop meta earlier, so Soul Barrier was on cooldown as well, it looked like. I probably should have used one of my other defensives, but Fiery Brand. But I didn't. That was a mistake on my part. And I don't remember anything too significant happening with Hercutus. I'll go ahead and, for the sake of time, skip forward a little bit towards the end. And yeah, so we'll call that good on Altimor. I didn't really know what was going on. I just tried to keep the ads in a spot that made my other tank happy. And then once all three, use defensive cooldowns, so DBM told me to, try and position in a way where I don't take damage and from excess, stuff. Don't stand in bad, don't get hit by the red arrows. And then I just helped kill Altimor once the third ad died. So up next we have the Hungering Destroyer, and you can see me with my adventure guide open again, looking at the basic tank mechanics, and I know I have to run away from something called Consume. I know I had to taunt off the Hungering Strikes, I think. It's just a tank debuff that gets applied every auto attack, I think. And I think DBM yells at me throughout the fight to go ahead and taunt off, but usually in these situations, like I knew it was, I think, an 8% damage increase, and so I didn't feel like I needed to taunt every single stack. That would be kind of weird. So I just didn't know how many stacks to taunt off, so I just figured I'd let it go until I noticed my co-tank's health just really getting chunked. So I'm not sure how many stacks he has at the moment. I probably should get a weak aura or adjust my grid 2 layout so it would tell me how many stacks he has down here. I know he's on the bottom left here, and then I can easily find him on the top left here through my LVUI. But I go ahead and taunt off there since it looked like he was getting chunked pretty hard, and I immediately got hit very hard. So I was not, did not pre-wall that, I don't think, with Soul Barrier. And I probably should be running a Fiery Brand build here. But I'm not, just because I'm so under geared. Fiery Brand build is probably better, so maybe I'll look into that for my normal run. In this situation, I notice we have the circles come out on us again, and I just try not to drop it on my allies. We were kind of being stacked there, and we had been stacked for a little bit, running in the same direction. That awkward, do I move or do they move? So I just leapt out, 10 feet. Looked kind of goofy to not leap super far away, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't dropping it on anybody. Just trying to do the basic mechanics. And then I come back in. In regards to these wind circles, no idea what they are. Could be a class buff, could be a boss mechanic, but I noticed people standing in them, and when I stepped into it, I didn't see any debuffs come up on me, so I figured it was either doing nothing or it was helping me in some way. And so I just decided to stand in them. Just trying to be careful that when I do taunt, I don't taunt him towards the right. So you see me kind of hovering on his left arm there. That way, if I do see the main tank starting to get chunked real hard, I can quickly taunt him and have him facing the same direction. But I think with that being said, there wasn't too much else to worry about. It seemed fairly straightforward. His consume comes out, and at the time I wasn't sure what it was, other than just, I see everyone else running away from it, so I should also probably follow suit and run away from it. Just trying to use my brain cell that God gave me there, put it to good use. And after that, it's pretty much more of the same. Tank and spank, nothing too serious coming out. That right there. How do I jump back 5 seconds? Let's see if we can find it again. I'm not quite sure. Okay, it does look like he's casting something, and then these two lines come out. I'm not sure how to tell what direction those come out at, or if they're random, because a few of us did get hit. I think I got hit by that as well. If not that time, I have on some of the other times. I'm not sure how to avoid that, so I'll have to do a little bit more reading on that one. but I'm sure that does a lot more damage on normal and heroic. As you can see, it's kind of chunking our rate a little bit there. But I will hopefully find a way to avoid that in the future. Otherwise, that was the one mechanic I wasn't too sure on in this fight. And then yeah, it was just kind of tank and spank at that point, just rinse and repeat. My main tank for this particular wing, he was super geared. I think he had a 215 item level when I looked at him. So I knew he was way over geared for LFR, and I could just kind of let him do his thing and try and learn what he was doing. So that's pretty much it for Hungering Destroyer. All right, and for the last boss, we have Lady Inerva. Going into this fight, I guess I should maybe pause it back there for a moment. I noticed in chat here on the left it says big red circles run to tanks, red line beams connect them through the red orbs, and I did briefly read the tank synopsis again. And so I knew the big red circles was either going to be, damage coming out that needed to be split, shared with the tank to help absorb it, or it was going to be some type of ad coming up that I needed to pick up. In retrospect, I think it does drop an ad, but at the time I wasn't sure. So I just tried to keep that in mind and look for the big red circles. And since I knew I was kind of off tanking for this Demon Hunter who was just super overgeared for LFR, and then the red line beams connect them through the red orbs, didn't really know if that applied to me or if that was going to be like a DPS mechanic, but I figured I'd look for those red beams and try and run them through the red orbs, if at all possible, if it came out on me. So yeah, we go ahead and open up on her here, and aggro is just immediately pulled from me, of course. A lot happened in this fight that I had no idea what was going on, and after doing some post-fight reading, yeah, I didn't stand a chance. So very much tried to use, common sense as best I could, but honestly, I think I just got hard carried through this fight. I didn't really do much. These red circles need to be absorbed by, I assume DPS since they're kind of going all over the place, but, as one of the tanks, maybe I can step in there and help split the damage in the future. But so in the moment, I had no idea what those were. I probably tried to avoid those actually, but in the future, I'll probably stand in them on purpose. I did notice these red orbs come out. I assumed that's what the red beams needed to go through to break them. Didn't know why that was important, but I was looking for red beams on myself. Help do that. In regards to the debuffs on the tanks here, I did notice that we had 2 debuffs on the main tank. So I went ahead and taunted that off since earlier he had 1 debuff, and when I taunted that, he immediately taunted back. So I interpreted that as leave it alone. I've got this. So at 2 stacks, I tried taunting again, got hit super hard. And he didn't taunt back off that, so I figured 2 was the magic number. Just trying to heal through it, keep myself alive. I noticed they fall off fairly quickly. I think it was like a 30-second debuff, maybe 25. So once his debuff falls off, he immediately taunted back. He gave me some breathing room since he probably saw I was getting hit pretty hard by it. So he was taunting off me at 1, and I was taunting off him at 2. Bottled anima, again, the same mechanic. I just tried to avoid it. I don't think I noticed in the moment that people were standing in them. But now I know that, that's something that needs to be done. I'll just kind of let DBM tell me what to do. Big red circle comes out here. I noticed they're running it in. I wasn't too sure on this, so you see me kind of baby step into it because I didn't know if I needed to be in that or not. I just knew they were just supposed to run it to tank, so I did step in it. And then he did shuffle back there, which was interesting right at the last second, and I almost wasn't in it. And I did take some damage when it came out, so at the moment I wasn't sure. That kind of told me maybe I don't stand in it, but I did see the ad come out, so I immediately think, okay, I probably should get on that thing. So I throw a taunt on it, fat finger my character sheet there, and I try and keep it on me. Who is it targeting? What did happen there? Let's see if I can remember. Let's see, he runs up with it. He drops it down. 3 seconds. At the moment, I'm tanking Inerva. I must have just taunted her. Is that what happened? This was kind of a weird moment. I see 2 stacks. Yeah, okay, so I see the 2 stacks on the main tank, so I taunt Lady Inerva here. And then I see this running in, that's what it was. And so I wasn't 100% sure what to do, because if I didn't have aggro on the boss, I probably would have just left the boss and stood directly on top of him. Problem with doing voiceovers is I can't exactly remember what I was thinking at all times. Uh, so it looks like I was kind of confused because I had her aggro and I wasn't sure how to handle the red orb on top of it. So let's see what happens here. I get 1 stack debuff on me. The other tank, so I taunt him. So now I'm tanking both briefly. The stacks fall off the main tank, so I think he takes control of her. Looks like he's tanking the ad still. I'm tanking her still. I get 2 debuffs on me. And then she goes back to him. Yeah. Okay, so I think an ideal world there, what would have happened was I would have held on to Lady Inerva. He would have picked up the ad. As soon as his 2 stacks fell off, we would have taunt swapped. Because I did have 2 stacks on me while tanking her for a little bit. So not a perfect rotation on the tank's parts. Definitely some errors, but I'm sure he's so overgeared and LFR's a joke to him that he didn't particularly care, and I didn't know what was going on. So, retrospect, I'll try and manage that a little bit better. And then let's see. I did notice this on the ground here. Not sure how that ended up there. You think that if these pools are not absorbed, it does put the lingering ichor? That might be a different mechanic. I do believe these pools occur when the red orbs are not absorbed, which creates bad on the ground, and it's hard to move around, of course. So I believe that's what happened there. And then I'm just managing the 2-stack taunts, so taunting off on every 2 stacks there. Oh, man, a lot happened in this fight. And again, in the moment, I didn't know what was going on. I was just trying to manage the taunt, the debuff stacks, and taunting off them. I should be, and I noticed this in a lot of fights, I do put on my Venthyr Covenant ability here. I should be spamming that on cooldown. It's not a reliable defensive, so it should just be used as DPS output, I think. Very, very poorly used it in this first, well, in the entire LFR raid, in this first video here, since this will be my last one. You'll notice I didn't use it very much. I need to be managing that. I do see him sneaking up with the red orb again, and I have 1 stack of Lady Inerva on me, so I see the ad come out, and main tank picks him up. So I just pick up the ad here because I saw he had swapped off of me. So I had 2 stacks, so that was pretty good by us. Good micro, and ad goes down fairly quickly. I do see these lines coming out. Not sure exactly what they're trying to do with them, but it looks like they're just trying to keep them away from everybody. And taunting again when he gets 2 stacks. Looks like he got 3 stacks there. No, he just had the 1 maybe. Think that's kind of everything else that happened. I do believe an ad gets spawned out in the distance. It's not brought to the tanks. So towards the very last few percent of this fight, yeah, there it is. And that one kind of, I noticed it wasn't being brought to us, and so you see me kind of doing this awkward shuffle, and then I finally commit to going over there. And I don't stand in it. I think I learned my lesson. I taunt him and try and drag him to the boss to get cleaved down, even though I know the fight's almost over. And I finally notice that they don't move. They're statically positioned, which is why you bring the red orbs to the tanks, as someone mentioned at the start of the fight. So I notice we down the boss, and so I just kind of ignore him, and then he does big AoE damage still, even though the fight's over. So, Blizzard Games. But that is it for Inerva. I'm going to have to do, I think I've done some decent, yeah, it's going to be a steep learning curve on that one for sure for me. So looking forward to that, and that'll be it for Lady Inerva. That will be all for this episode. It looks like I'll be breaking up these LFR bosses into 3 or 4 videos, depending on how much happens in the fights and how much commentary I feel they really need. If you would like to see or hear something else in addition to what I'm doing, feel free to leave a comment down below, as this series is for anyone who is looking to get into the raiding scene, so I really don't mind adding in some extra stuff. After all, this series is for you, and I'll be hugging my AOTC either way. I just hope to kind of help people maybe get over their nerves and realize mistakes happen. It's just how you respond to them that matters. I'm just trying to give my thought process as I go through for the first time without help of a raiding guild or a raid leader spamming my Discord with, watch this video, or we're going to try this strat now, so study it. So it's very much for the point of view of the average pug player. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. Here's my obligatory thumbs up the video if you liked it, or thumbs it down if you didn't, but please leave me some feedback in the comments what you'd like to see improved upon in the future. I'll catch you all next time.